welcome back to the Retro Review. I am the Bearded Geek. Joining me as always is Mikey the Freak.
What's up?
And Peebo.
Hi.
Today we will be reviewing the 1991 movie Necessary Roughness. Peebo, why don't you tell us a little bit about this movie?
So basically, you have a Texas college who got busted due to NCAA sanctions. It's actually the Texas State University Fighting Armadillos. And since their team got busted for all kinds of infractions and they all got expelled, the coaches got fired and stuff. So the university has to form a new football team from the actual student body, meaning nobody with scholarships to help and basically to fill in their new team. Movie is very much the typical, sports movie where they bring in just people who you would look at and not even think for a second they have any type of athletic ability whatsoever. And they have to put together a ragtag team to try and, keep the football going alive at the university. The quarterback is played by Scott Bakula, who's, in his mid to late 30s. The rest of the team are just a bunch of screw ups, basically. And they're just trying to, it's basically a movie of the underdogs trying to, put together a win and come together and stuff. It was a decent movie. I remember watching it when I was a kid thinking that, I like the story. I apparently didn't pay too close attention to it because after rewatching it for our podcast here, I just realized that they only won one fucking game in the entire season.
And they tied.
They lost every game, then tied one, and then won one, and that was it. And I was just like, I never really put that together until I was watching it this go around.
And the epitome was tying. That was just like a win for them.
So because they only had 17 players. They played Iron Man football, both offense and defense. Yeah,
they had to go both ways.
We don't.
I thought there's anything wrong with that.
No judgment.
No comment.
But what'd you think about it, Mikey?
Yeah, the movie. The funniest part I always thought from the movie after rewatching it, and it has been a long time since I've watched this movie, and I've always been a huge Scott Bakula fan with Quantum Leap because I watched every episode of Quantum Leap, and he was in the middle of filming Quantum Leap when he did this movie. So the age is the same. He's supposed to be mid-30s, and he always looks older in everything that he does than what he's supposed to be playing. But the fun part with the movie was Larry Miller, Dean Elias, which is probably one of the hated actors I've ever heard of in my life. Anything Larry Miller has always done, it's always been the same.
That dude's a dick.
It's the same type character, even in the stand-up in the 90s. You just can't watch it because he's not very eye appealing, and he's definitely not very funny. It's when they had to practice and the field was getting messed up because he did everything in his power to make sure that the football team failed, no matter what it was. They couldn't practice. They didn't want to play the games. When they were picking the teams, the reason why they had to play Iron Man football is because no one could pass with a C average. Oh, you lost that guy. Oh, you lost that guy. What about him? Yeah, as of this morning, you lost him too. So they're down to, like you said, 17 players, and they have to play offense and defense. So that part that I'm getting at, when they brought in the Texas State Penitentiary, which was a great scene. Roger Craig, Ronnie Lott, Mike Dick Butkus, or Mike
Holyfield.
Dick. Holy shit! Yeah, I mean,
Jerry Rice.
Yep.
Yeah, the elite of the elite in the sporting community, and they get one playoff, and then they start getting kicked. The Texas State
they get the
Penitentiary
shit
start
beat out
kicking
of
The
them.
second they hype
They
the
start kicking
football,
their-
it's just a free for all.
Yeah, they get the
Yeah.
shit beat out of them is what happens.
and when I think it was it was Holyfield, I think, when he was getting on the bus and said, "I don't feel so good. I think I swallowed his ear."
A
finger.
A
A
finger.
finger.
That's
finger.
right,
Yeah. His ear
So
got eaten off. Not.
That was
Yeah.
that was hilarious. So yeah, one of the funniest parts of the scenes, and then only of movies, and it that scene was probably literally like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Um,
And I
but-
love how the dean announces it to the coach. Maybe I could set up a rummage football game with one of the other state institutions.
yeah. And then you see him laughing in the background as they're getting the shit kicked out of them.
Oh, Jim Kelly
around
was there
the
too.
Yeah, Jim Kelly.
Yeah, Jim Kelly was there too. He was the actual quarterback for that team, so kind of played out work.
All right, Dillos, let's get it on.
But I loved it when Scott Bakula is there on the ground, and after the guards, the correctional officers, break it up by shooting a shotgun off.
Cool.
Yeah, and they're all like, "Huh?" And then they all get back on the bus.
Like nothing ever happened.
The guy who tackled and beat the shit out of Scott Bakula picks him up by the pads and lifts him up. You just hear Scott Bakula, "So what are you in for?" And it's this big mountain of dude who just looks at him and goes, "Computer fraud."
Yeah.
And then throws his ass back down. And Dean
Which
Elias
is
is just
funny
laughing
for
the
an
entire
early
time.
90s, actually.
Yeah.
Really funny.
Yeah,
for
because
early
computers were hardly around, maybe 5 or 6 years, maybe.
90s.
Yeah.
Really mainstream in the mid 80s. So pretty funny on that part.
He cheated
but
on the Oregon Trail. That's why he was in.
He never died,
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah,
That's
ever.
bullshit. You always have to die on Oregon Trail.
He set it up so he's immune to, all the diseases and shit.
Right.
Yeah. So after Dean Elias doing everything that they in his power to, basically destroy the football team and make sure they never win, they become triumphant. With the tie, the 3-3 tie by kicking the field goal in a damn monsoon.
Who kicked the
and
3-point
then-
field goal?
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because Kathy Ireland, my God, smoking hot in '91. This was probably the height of her modeling days.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because she was a soccer player. And as
In the movie,
she had to kick that ball a fucking long way.
Yeah.
Because when they're standing underneath the stadium and she kicked it from the field, it looked like it was traveled a good 100 yards.
Good
way.
distance.
Yeah.
Good 100 yards. I'm like, holy shit, that ball's never gonna land.
I like.
So they might have played that out too long.
I like when the guy tackles her, basically hits her after she kicks the winning field goal. He goes,
the tying
"Welcome
field
to
goal."
Yeah, he goes, "Welcome to football." So she gets up and kicks him in
Welcome
the
to
nuts.
foot.
Welcome to footballs. Dude just like,
Yeah, immediately started singing soprano.
Yeah, so it showed that she could hold her own with a bunch of guys.
Yep.
And I thought that was pretty cool. And then you still have the protection from Manu Manu,
the
center.
the big Samoan, Hawaiian, whatever. Whatever you want to call him. You always got to have one of those in a football movie. You always got to have the big Hawaiian or big sumo guy in a football movie, and he was the perfect guy for it.
Oh yeah, and they always have to be the center of the football team. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean a lot of funny parts in this movie, and then that I didn't realize and completely forgot that Jason Bateman was in it. And you always have that. That's that rich preppy kid that basically was the booster, or they spent so much money from the booster organization to promote this football team.
Mm-hmm.
At the dinner, they had a dinner and gave them jackets, and we're like, "Oh yeah, let's show off all these jackets. They look great." And coach was like, "Nope, we're not going to have it. We're not. Once we start accepting boosters, they didn't want to really get back in trouble what they used to be." Right. So that was one of those. Coach Gennaro had to make sure he stood his ground And
straight arrow, Gennaro.
Yeah. And if anyone knows about any college sports teams at least, it is impossible to create a football team or like I said, any sports team without some kind of talent, which comes from scholarships and recruiting. so if you went to a college and say, hey, I need to get 24 guys to play football, and they cannot have a football scholarship, you have to go just based off if they played in high school or if they played at the house or stuff like that. It'd be tough to win with that football team. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of cool how they had to go that route with no athletic ability.
Well, you always have to have the ninja on defense too.
Oh, I love the ninja.
I love watching the ref try and call it. When the ninja went out there and just started karate chopping the shit out of the offense.
Nujitsu thrust.
Roundhouse thrust to the midsection. And then he goes, fuck it. 15 yards, first down.
Yeah. That was I started laughing out loud on that one too. And he went ninja moves. He started Kanuchi, thrust,
I know.
and all this. And I'm like, how the hell does he know all those?
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty good.
That was his sensei. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I was like, I know that move. I'm calling that shit. That's 15 yards, man. He shouldn't have done that.
He was like, screw this. 15 yards.
And the twins on offense.
Yes.
Was absolutely hilarious. But at least they started to get the plays right, because they would always go for a run. And they run into
each
other. Every play, boom. We're like, he's just like, I can't give the ball to nobody.
The dumbest pair of twins ever.
And of course, in this movie, you've also got the team to beat, the ones that are currently number one, who are also a Texas team. And what I loved is they called the dude flat top because he had a flat top haircut.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've only seen one other dude in my life who had a jaw that looked like it was indestructible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude had a jaw on him for sure.
Because I loved it when Scott Bakula goes, man, we were going wrong so well, and then you had to go insult my center. And this is all at a bar, and there, you can tell it fights about it very good. He goes, this is my throwing hand, and then throws his left, and then it comes across with his right, and you just see him go. And he goes,
he comes back and blinks. It's like,
and Scott Bakula's like, shit. And then he just basically picks him up and throws him over the fucking bar.
But you had to have that scene because that's the scene that brought the team together.
That brought the team together for
bar
Blake.
Fight.
Yeah.
Who was played, Blake is the quarterback played by Scott Bakula.
Mm-hmm.
That's what kind of led to him, finally becoming the head of the team.
Yes.
The issue
being the true team captain,
right? And which always seems to happen in the sports movies. You've always got like the older person on the team, or the quarterback. Usually for football movies, is the one who has to become the leader of the team. And there's always something that happens that ends up bringing the team together, whether it's a fight or something like that. But I thought it was funny because at the end, Dean Elias comes in. What I love is to show you how old this movie is. He walks into the bar, goes to speak with the sheriff. He goes, "Sheriff, I got the page on my beeper."
On my beeper. Yeah.
And I was just I was like, shit, this is an old movie.
Old tech alert.
But I love how he kept correcting the sheriff's English on it. Yes. He's like, "What brawl? There ain't no brawl. First off, there isn't any brawl. And what you mean there ain't no brawl?"
Right, yeah.
Yeah, there's always that bar fight that's always the entertaining one. And they still really didn't like each other after that, but the comedic we can't negate the comedic value of this movie with Sinbad. Being a teacher and playing football. And another comedian at the height of his career in the 90s as well. And he was always an underrated comic performer, but better movie star than comedian, like stand-up comedian, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of his stand-ups. There was one I thought was real great, and then all the other ones I saw were just a little average just to me. But I really liked his acting in the 90s and stuff, the movies he was in.
Yeah, he was definitely more of a better actor than a.
Yeah.
I mean, he got his name from stand up, but you put him in a movie and the camera just loved him. I mean,
what was the President's Kid? It was the one where,
First Kid.
Yeah, so it was the President's Kid, and he played the head of the Secret Service. Yeah, that was a cute movie, but yeah, I liked him better at acting than the stand-up too.
Right.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes in the movie is Coach Straight Arrow Gennaro ended up having to go to the hospital. So his assistant coach or his defensive coach had to take over the team. And at halftime, he's like dressed in a suit and stuff, and they're down by 21 points. And he's like, well, let's go over what's working for us. And he's like, nothing's fucking working for us. And he starts ripping his shirt off. He goes, you need to play like Gennaro. He was a bat out of hell. You need to rip their fucking heads off and shit down their necks. Let us pray.
Yeah. But my favorite part is when he's saying that and he's ripping off his jacket and stuff. He's like, this tie isn't working for me. And he goes like this, and it's a fucking clip-on.
Yeah.
He just can't toss the clip-on.
But I literally laughed when he was.
Yeah, when he's like, let us pray. And everybody just as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But yeah, a great movie. So let's go ahead and give out some our ratings. Bebo, this was your movie. How about you lead us off with the rating?
For me, I mean, I like a good comedy sports movie. And this is very nostalgic for me because I remember watching it a lot when I was, younger. I like the premise of the story. Kind of wish I would have paid more attention than when I was younger and realized they only won one fucking game.
It wasn't about winning the football game.
No, it wasn't.
I know, but I'm just saying, usually when it has movies, they win more than one fucking game.
They only needed to win the one against Texas. That was it. That was just the one. We need to. We're training all this year. We're getting our ass kicked all year just to win this one fucking game.
That's right, because they're the number one team in the nation.
Yeah.
But I like the movie. I like the cast. For that time, it was a good comedy, sports movie in my opinion. So I'd probably give this somewhere between 7.5.
All right.
What about you, Mikey?
I'm in the same realm. It was funny, a lot of comedic value in the movie. Again, like with Sinbad, very funny person. I'm a huge Scott Bakula fan with Quantum Leap, so I watched everything that Bakula was in. So I always enjoyed him as an actor. And then you throw the hot supermodel with Kathy Ireland in there.
I was for sure it's going to be like when you throw in the hot Sinbad and.
Yeah, no. But a great underdog story, and at this point, I was young as well, and I played a lot of sports when I was young. I always wanted to play something, and then to watch sports movies, I watched every sports movie when I was younger, and this was always one where it had the underdog that started from nothing, and now they win that one big game, which was a similar take off of Major League, where Cleveland Indians, and we did that in our previous podcast as well. So check that out. It's that underdog baseball movie to where they win the pennant. So this is the same premise, same concept. So that was always a fun movie. You laugh out loud type movie. So I would give it a 7.5 for me. Yeah.
All right. Myself, I enjoyed this movie. I like how it had the full circle thing. The movie started off with Scott Bakula driving out on the farm, throwing footballs to a football dummy with the number 88 jersey on. To going through, you had all the comedy elements. I believe this movie was almost perfectly cast for what it was. And at the end of the movie, they had to run a special trick play to win the game, and lo and behold, it's a number 88 that he's throwing to, and he just drills him.
Or right full circle.
Yeah, full circle right in there. Then you had the moment which always seems to get me. I don't know why, but I always seem to tear up just a slight bit in the moment where the Samoan, Hawaiian, or whatever for that play looks at Paul Blake and says, "He'll never touch you," and they kind of do the handshake thing, and the music hits. I was like, "Oh." It's one of those it's one of those moments. It's one of those moments in the movie.
Game on, bitches.
Yeah, it really gets me. I get into this movie a lot. For me, I would give this movie a 8. I enjoy this movie. Yeah, it's a bit dated on some of the things between college football and now, but I enjoyed the story that's being told. Even the moment where I call him Scott, but Scott Bakula's character is trying to leave, and then Jason Bateman jumps in the truck with him, saying, "I got to go too. I just got to get away because of all my problems." And then he's like,
"You can't quit.
You can't run away.
Run away.
Like,
Why not? You did."
And he's like,
"Why you did?
Damn it! How'd I get stuck with Jiminy Cricket?" And he turns around and goes back. Those simple moments like that is well told. They're not overblown. They're not overshot. They're simple.
Yeah.
Simple. And that's what this movie was all about. So, like I said, I would give this an 8.
And that was a huge scene that really was a turning point on everyone's attitude when he came back to the field, because the team gave up. They're like, "Well, we have no quarterback, and Jason Bateman's character, he's gone too, so we don't have anybody there." And when they both come back on the field, and it's almost like they didn't give him any repercussions for leaving. Like, "No, you're gonna have to sit out this game." You're like, "No, thank God you're back. Here's the football. Right. Let's get the hell out there.
Let's play." I get
if anybody else were to leave, you'd be like, "No, you shouldn't have left. You're gonna sit out a game. We're gonna practice without you." They're like, "No, here's the damn football. Go out.
Yeah, take them out, son. They're your team."
Yeah, they're your team. Let's take them out. So that was a good turning point in the movie, and the momentum was kind of going in their direction. Yeah. And that positivity, like, yeah, we're going to win this game. We have faith and we're confident. So I like that scene too. That was a good one.
Right.
So recommendation wise, would you guys recommend this to friends or others?
I would definitely recommend this to anybody who loves a good sports movie.
Yeah.
It don't even have to be a good sports movie. This is just a good movie in general.
Yeah, it's just a good movie. It's a good comedic film, but I mean, it's also got drama, action, shit like that in there. So, but it's a good film all around, in my opinion. You don't have to strictly label it as one thing.
Right. Bibo, do you have any interesting facts about this
movie?
Yeah,
so one of the ones I was going to touch on, you guys already did, and that's that the team of convicts are made up of like several NFL stars and stuff like that. So you had Dick Butkus, Jim Kelly, Jerry Rice, but then, like you guys said, you had other
Evander Holyfield.
Yeah, Evander Holyfield and stuff like that in there. The actual predicament of the Texas State Armadillos, scandal and stuff is actually based on the scandal surrounding another Texas college, which was Southern Methodist University. They had been placed on probation 3 times in the 80s for repeated recruitment violations, such as like giving monetary enticements to players and their families. In 1987, that school was punished under the repeat violator rule, better known as the death penalty. And all football was canceled and scholarships were revoked for 1987, and only away games were allowed in 88, although the school canceled the 88 season anyways. It said the team was refielded in 89 with an all tryout squad. It was the Mustangs, and they didn't have a winning season until 2009 after that happened.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that was cool. That was loosely based off of, like an actual scandal in Texas. So in the movie, the fictional Texas State University plays a football game against Southwest Texas State University, a real university which is located in San Marcos, Texas. In 2003, Southwest Texas State University changed its name to Texas State University at San Marcos. So just a little bit there on the actual schools.
Okay.
When Paul Blake, which is Scott Bakula's character, gets off the elevator trying to go to his dorm room for the first time, you can see the elevators have been labeled, and the one he gets off of says Sooner or Vader, and the other one says Aggravator.
Okay.
And I was just like, yeah, that's not something I would pay attention to, is what the fucking elevator's called in a movie.
Nope.
It's an elevator.
Let's see here.
We were
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, well, what we were saying earlier, trying to do a little quick spinoff. We were talking about Major League and how the movie was kind of modeled after the Major League. Well, if you look at the movie posters for Necessary Roughness and for Major League, and you put them back to back, it's just basically the same exact movie poster.
Same design.
Just one with a baseball and one with a football.
Yep. All the football scenes are played on AstroTurf. Ed Too Tall Jones, who appears as one of the convict football players, helped scrimmage for TSU Armadillos, actually played college football at Tennessee State University, which is where the Armadillos are supposed to be. And the last thing here is Ed, who's played by Hector Elizondo, I always mispronounce his last name, who's Ed Straight Air Gennaro, the coach, is resistant to adding Lucy to the men's team as a place kicker. In season 4, episode 1 of Last Man Standing, which he stars in as a character named Ed, he says to Tim Allen's character, Mike, that he doesn't think Mike's daughter Eve should join the boys' high school football team as a place kicker. It is also noteworthy that both female characters portray talented soccer players in their respective roles, which I actually did watch Last Man Standing, and I never put that together.
Oh.
So that was kind of interesting to read about. Because his and the daughter that he has 3 on the show, Last Man Standing, Tim Allen does, and this is I think the youngest or the middle, but she is very much a tomboy, and she's always gone out and like basically she could take on any one of the football players and beat the shit out of them. So I just thought that was kind of interesting, but that's pretty much all the trivia I could find. There's not a lot of stuff written about the movie that I could find.
As far as the retro movie memorabilia segment, I really couldn't find that much of anything on as far I could find like items that people have gotten signed at cons and stuff like that, but that's not really what that segment's about. So I really didn't have anything for that segment, so I got nothing for y'all people. Sorry.
What?
You had one fucking job, dude.
One job. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. All right, if that's it, I do believe that does it for this episode of the Back to the Retro Review. Do all the YouTuber things, everybody. Hit that subscribe button. Give us a good old thumbing. Hit the bell.
Thumbs up.
Hit the bell for when we post videos. You'll get a notification. So
make sure you comment on it, guys. Tell us what you like. If there's a movie you want us to review, we're open to suggestions. Keep in mind that it is a retro review, so try to keep it within like the 80s and 90s, but we're open to trying to watch anything that you guys want to see.
Tell us what you thought of the movie. Give us an idea of what y'all want us to watch. My mind went blank right there. Sorry, everybody.
You wanted to say thumbing again. Yeah. I know where you're going. Give us a thumbing.
There's nothing wrong with a good thumbing.
This will be our last episode.
So for Mikey the Freak and Bebo, I am the Bearded Geek. Thank you. Keep it retro, everybody.
Peace.
See ya.